Hey everybody, I'm Howard Tiersky. Welcome once again to the Winning Digital Customers Show. Today we want to talk about the topic of why should you stick your neck out for a digital transformation. The phrase sticking your neck out, of course, evokes the possibility of having it cut off, right? Or what comes above it cut off. So you may feel, or perhaps you don't feel, but I'm going to expand on this in a moment. You may feel that being the one in your company who really steps up to be what I like to call the innovation hero, the person who steps up to figure out how to drag your company into the 21st century, puts you to some degree at risk. And so I can imagine there's lots of reasons why you might be hesitant to step up and do that. So I'm going to talk a little bit quickly about what those risks are, if you're not already well associated to them. And then I want to inspire you today with some of the reasons why it might be worth it. I'm not going to tell you, oh, there's no risk. Be the person in your company who stands up and boldly tells everyone where the company needs to go. Be the person who signs up for the huge multi-million-dollar program that's going to change the company. And there's no risk to you in doing that. I am not here to tell you that. As I say, I'm going to talk a little bit about the risks. And then, but I'm going to also talk about why those risks may very, very well be worth it. So, first of all, when we say sticking your neck out, the good news is we like to use colorful metaphors in language, right? Sticking your neck out like a turkey who's going to get his head chopped off. The truth of the matter is, it's extremely unlikely that no matter what goes wrong in your efforts to lead digital transformation, that you will be killed and eaten for Thanksgiving dinner, okay? I'm just going to start with that and say, when we talk about the risks, let's remember the risks that you face are not truly life and death. Now, don't get me wrong. The prospect of looking bad at work, being demoted, getting fired, that can still feel pretty life or death. But let's just remember that, it's not life or death. What is it? Thank you to my, I don't know what to call him. I was going to say my friend, but I don't want to say my friend. Anyway, thank you to Donald Trump for that colorful idea of you're fired, right? This is pre-presidential Donald Trump in the boardroom firing someone on The Apprentice, right? So this is the biggest risk we face. Now, why would there be a risk of being fired by stepping forward to be a leader of digital transformation? Well, one is, as we've talked about many times on this show, any kind of organizational transformation faces resistance. If you are trying to move the company in a more digital direction, there's some people that are going to be threatened by that. And they may feel, possibly, that one way of dealing with that risk is to undermine you. And we did a whole show recently on how to sabotage a digital transformation. It's very, very common. Now, that sabotage may or may not lead you to be being fired, but clearly, when you know that you have people within the organization who are trying to oppose what you're doing, that might affect its success. It might make you look bad. They may have some reason to want to make you look bad. And those are all reasons to fear, or at least to be mindful that there is risk in moving forward. So let's just be honest. That is likely to happen. The second is power politics, meaning if you step forward to play a leadership role around digital transformation, that potentially makes you a powerful person within the organization, someone to whom significant budget is given, someone who is being sort of with a spotlight on them, perhaps from your CEO. This is Howard, and he's going to be leading us forward in this critical area. And there may be other people within the organization who start to think, you know what, I'm fine with the transformation. So it's not like the first one. I think it's great. I think we should become more digital. But how come Howard's leading that up? I think I should be leading that up. I need to figure out how to undermine Howard, not the project. I don't want the project to fail. I want the project to succeed. I just want it to be me that's in front of that project. I don't want it to be Howard. So now you've got power politics. And again, what's the risk of the outcome of that? Well, it all depends on the tactics and strategies used by others. But you may find you're playing a certain amount of, spending a certain amount of your time dealing with those politics. And in any case, if you lose at those politics and someone else proves that you're the wrong person and they step up into that role, could you be left out in the cold? Well, let's just say I've seen it happen. So there's some risk there as well around power politics. Does it sound like I'm trying to talk you out of sticking your neck out for digital transformation? I'm not, but I want you to be mindful of the risks, because then we're going to look at the other side. And the third risk is failure. You could, when you step up to lead, generally speaking, what happens is you're defining a vision for what the future will be. You are presenting a plan for how to get there. You're telling your organization that you need money, you need other resources like development teams or other things, and an investment, a bet is being placed on your project and on you as a leader. And when you embark upon new innovative things, there are many reasons, many risks of failure. For those who've read my book, Winning Digital Customers, I go through many more than this, many of the potholes and problems that can occur along the road to a successful digital transformation or a successful digital product launch. I do that not to be depressing, but rather to make it so you are mindful of, hey, these are all the possible roadblocks. Look, if it was easy, they wouldn't have to pay you so much, right? If it was easy, anybody could do it. But what I try to do is at least lay out what are some of the things that you can anticipate as possible challenges along the way so you can be prepared, so you can overcome them, hopefully. Nevertheless, success is not by any stretch guaranteed. Most digital transformations experience setbacks, problems, and challenges along the way. And so there's always the risk. If you're the person leading the project with risk and that risk comes to pass, you could wind up being the scapegoat, right? You could wind up being the one that gets thrown under the bus. That wouldn't necessarily be wise of your company, but that's what could happen. Or, let's be honest, you personally could fail. If you're moving into an area that you haven't worked on before, you're stretching, you're growing, you could personally screw it up. Again, not trying to be depressing, but the safest thing to do in your career is to keep doing the same thing you've always done. You know how to do that. Except that can be misleadingly safe because when the world is changing, people may not need that thing you're doing as much as they used to. And so you're becoming increasingly obsolete. But on the flip side, when you move into doing something new for yourself, right? New challenges, well, you may not be as good at it as the things which you've done previously. It's only natural. So you could fail or you could do everything right, but the project could fail just due to the inherent risks. And that failure could come back to you in the terms of a negative impact on your career. Again, let's remember, unlikely to lead to death, but certainly could lead to negative impacts on your career. So here are some of the things that I'm guessing may already be on your mind if you're thinking about playing a role like this. So hopefully I'm not planting seeds of doubt, but rather just laying out the reality that yes, there's real risk. And therefore, it's a completely reasonable question to ask, why the heck would I do this? Why would I step forward when there's all these barriers and problems and challenges and enemies and risks that I potentially will encounter? So let's talk about what's in it for you. What is the opportunity that you'd be giving up if you allowed all of these fears? And when I say they're fears, I don't mean that they're unreasonable fears. They're fears of things that really could come to pass. What's on the other side of that? What would be the reason to accept these kinds of risks? What kind of reward is there that you may want to be inspired enough by to say, you know what? Yes, I have these risks, but I'm going to do it anyway because of what will happen when it's successful. So the first one is customer joy. Making the customers of your business happy, successful, appreciative. And I just want you to think about how you'll feel when you see customers, whether it's in your stores or at your office locations or online, or when you see those reviews coming in, when you see the comments on Twitter, when you have that realization and you say, wow, customers are loving what we're doing. This is really making people's lives easier. This is bringing people joy. Maybe this is even changing people's lives. I don't know what you do. I don't know what your business is and what the opportunity is to impact people's lives. But when you realize that you're impacting, I don't know how many people in your business, hundreds, thousands, even millions of people's lives in a positive way, that's great for them. But how does that make you feel? Knowing that you're a participant in that. In fact, you may be even a leader in it. Maybe it's something that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you and for your courage to step forward. When you realize the impact you're having on that large number of people, how does it make you feel? And if the answer is awesome, then that's one of the things that's in it for you. Of course, there's all kinds of benefits to customer joy. It's great for them, and it's great for your business, because one of the key topics I talk about in my book is how customer love is really the single most profound factor that influences business success. And I go into great detail both in the book, and I've done other live casts on it, so I'm not going to get into it now. But it's good for the business. It's good in so many ways, but it's great for you. Or at least I get tremendous satisfaction from that. And I'm guessing that you might as well. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we're wired differently. But I want to offer that to you as the first of a number of reasons to consider sticking your neck out. Because when you're successful creating a great new customer journey, and by the way, you don't have to be done with your digital transformation, but you've just fixed one thing. You've made that customer service experience better. You've made that pickup in the store experience better. And you can see how delighted customers are. I think that's going to be really something that you're going to take home, and it's going to really make you feel great. And so that's one reason. But let's move on. What's another reason? Pride. Pride in accomplishing something difficult. That customer joy may be one of the things that gives you pride, of course, but the pride in yourself, of having undertaken this challenge, gotten through so many challenges. That's one of the upsides of challenges. Have you ever tried to do something that was super easy? You ever play a video game that was like crazy easy? Maybe it's like a little kid's video game. You don't even want to keep playing, right? What's the point? You could win over and over and over, but like, why? When something's difficult, when something really kind of calls you to have to figure out how to use every part of your creativity, intelligence, political savvy, how to inspire other people. And when you're really doing something difficult and it's successful, man, that's an amazing feeling. Whatever the customers say, And of course, when you combine these things together, imagine how you'll feel. Not only did you accomplish something great, something difficult, but you have a fantastic outcome for customers, which was our first thing. And by the way, that pride isn't just for you. That pride also is shared with the team. So that's great for them. But how are you going to feel when you realize the pride others are getting from the outcome of your project? When you realize that you've really helped other people see themselves in a whole new way because of their participation in what you've led. And so I can tell you for myself personally, while I'm proud of work that I do and my teams do, there's something that I get by way of personal satisfaction when seeing how other people feel, the other people on the team, that maybe in some ways means even more to me. So you have that opportunity to be a leader within your organization that winds up making the whole company feel proud. Most people at companies, they have a negative feeling if they know that their product is something that customers don't love. If they know that customers are complaining, I've talked to people who've worked for big cable companies, for example, and one of the downsides to them is how many, they meet someone at a party and the first thing they hear is about how the cable guy didn't show up on time for his appointment at their house, even if they don't do anything remotely associated with that part of the business. And it's a drag. And in contrast, if someone works for a brand people love, Apple or a Disney or whatnot, and you meet someone and you say that's where you work, there's just this connection that people have because they love the brand so much. They love the experience, even if your job has nothing to do with the aspect of the brand that really made them love it. So that pride that you create is not only for yourself, but ultimately can emanate through an entire company, which again, I don't know how big your company is, but it can be thousands and thousands of people who now feel a sense of pride about the fact that they're delivering customers a fantastic digital journey. They have happy customers. They've accomplished something amazing, those types of things. So that's the second reason. Think of the pride that you're going to feel and think of the pride that you're going to see in others when you are successful. And this thing that I'm suggesting you to do, by the way, to think about these things, I want to encourage you to do it often, because there's two ways I think you could use this information I'm sharing with you today. One is if you're at the precipice, you're like, should I step up? Should I stick my neck out? As we said in the title of this. But, even once you've stuck your neck out, you have to keep yourself motivated. You have to keep yourself inspired. There may be days when you wake up in the morning and you think, why did I sign up for this? This is more hassle than it's worth. When you're in the mired down in politics or your budget's getting cut. So you want to be able to regularly reconnect with, you ask that question, why did I get involved with this? There's a good answer. And I'm giving you, and you may have your own reasons that I'm not even going to cover on today's live cast, which is great. But I'm going to give you some of the reasons why I've seen other people find this to be absolutely worth it, leading these types of initiatives, despite all the hassle. And so if you need a boilerplate, if you so to speak, to the answer to the question, why did you sign up for this when you're in the middle of something, you can turn to this content as well. Because in order for your initiative to be successful, you need to keep yourself in a positive mindset. You need to be able to lead others. And so here's some reminders to yourself. And thinking about the outcome and the positive, successful outcome and what that's going to mean is one good strategy when you're mired down in the middle of the doing and things don't look so good. All right, let's move on to the next thing. So we talked about customer joy. We talked about pride. What's next? Learning. I mentioned earlier that one of the risks of moving into digital transformation is very often it's something you don't know. It's something you haven't done before. Now, maybe you have, I don't know. But for a lot of people, even if they've done it before, it's constantly changing. And all of a sudden, you're having to understand more than you've ever had to understand about so many things, right? I mean, technology and new technologies, perhaps like artificial intelligence or machine learning or big data. And you need to learn about different probably software packages and different IT things, about e-commerce platforms. You're probably going to learn more about your company and the different organizational areas and what their priorities are. You're going to probably need to learn more about leadership. Most people are stretched by the opportunity to lead one of these types of initiatives, certainly if you're doing it for the first time, but even if you've done it before, because every company is different, every situation is different, the world of digital keeps changing and growing and evolving. So every time you go through that cycle, there's more learning that's needed. Now, I'm someone who loves learning, and I would suggest that people who lead digital transformation are well served by being people that love learning. If you're one of those people that's like, I already graduated from college, I don't want to have to learn anything new, I want to be able to just learn what I learned, use what I learned in college to do my job until I retire, then you're probably in the wrong game if you're thinking about leading or making a major contribution to a digital transformation. This is an area that involves a lot of learning. And assuming, though, that that's not the case, that you're actually somebody who finds that rewarding, think how much you'll learn, even from the problems, even from the challenges that you face along the way. So that's the third, answer to why am I doing this? Or why should I do this? Wherever you are in your journey, all that you're going to learn, even if you fail, you're going to learn so much. You're going to know so much more. Believe me, I failed. I did a whole other video on how to fail at digital transformation. I've had plenty of failures. Thankfully, mostly not so recently. Most of them were earlier in my career. But man, did I learn a lot from them. And I honestly think I'm much better at what I do today because of the lessons I learned from the failures. Now, I'm not saying, hey, let's try to fail. That'll be even more learning. No. There's plenty of benefits you get from success. And of course, you'll learn a lot on the way to success as well. Okay, so that's our third reason. Do you have enough reasons already? Should I stop now? Have I convinced you? If so, you can go right now and go lead your digital transformation. You don't need any more, but I have a few more for you, and actually some really good ones coming up. So I'm joking. I want you to keep listening. The fourth one, jobs. I often say that digital transformation of a company really starts with understanding digital transformation of the world. The world has been changing faster and faster, and COVID's made it change even faster. Customer expectations are changing. Our customers are living a lifestyle with digital at the center, and that's also true of our employees. It's true of our suppliers. It's true of our prospective employees. In order to be successful in this world, you have to be a company that understands digital and executes it elegantly, full stop. I'm sure someone can always find an exception to the rule, some beach shack somewhere. But other than that, for 99.9% of businesses, this is essential. Digital transformation is essential to survival. And if you don't successfully transform to keep up with the times, you go the way of Circuit City and Toys R Us. And, you can list so many companies now, Kodak and, Borders Books and on and on and on. BlackBerry, all the companies that failed to keep up with the times. So if you fail to keep up with the times, what's that going to mean for all of these people, all of these great people who work for the company that you're helping lead the digital transformation? Now, let's hope that if the company fails, they'll land on their feet. I don't mean to suggest that they're all going to be destitute, but you have the opportunity to make that company successful, to send it on an upward trajectory rather than a downward trajectory. And you've got all these people who are, raising their kids and paying their tuitions or saving for their kids' weddings, planning for their own retirement. It's very disruptive to the lives of all these people, and not just the people who work for you, all the people who work for the company, and not just them, but their families. And so there's this potentially large number of people whose lives, not just their careers, but their lives are impacted by whether the company is successful or whether the company has to do layoffs and downturns and eventually goes out of business and fires a whole bunch of people. So consider that. Why are you doing this? Why, even while the company and those very people whose jobs you're trying to save may seem to be fighting you sometimes, But even while they're doing that, you're there working to help save their jobs and save their futures and help make sure that they and their families can live a great life. So again, hopefully they could always adapt. So I don't mean to be overly dramatic about it, but nevertheless, most people who have a job aren't looking forward to the company going out of business and possibly being unemployed and having to find a new job. So you're really serving them. And that's something that hopefully is another reason to say, get out of bed every morning and say, you know what? I have to help make sure this company is successful for the future. And lastly, destiny. What were you put on this earth for? You have been put into a situation at a company that needs to change. And I realize I don't know you. I mean, I might know you. I don't know. There's a lot of people listening. So some of you I know, but many of you I don't. And so, I can't presume, but I want to share with you what I believe. I believe each of us was put here for a reason, with a mission. And part of our life's purpose is to figure out what that mission is. And I don't know what your mission is. I'm not even sure I know for sure what my own mission is. But when you find yourself in a situation where there's a need, that might be a clue to you, especially if it's a need where you have some of the skills and talents and you're in a position to potentially do something about it. If you see somebody struggling who's collapsed on the side of the road, hopefully you would stop and say, you know what? I'm the person who passed that person. I'm here to help. I'm going to help in whatever way I can. And if your company needs to change and needs to transform, and you've been given some inspiration about that, you've been given some vision for what should happen, or you have a sense of what needs to be done, even if you don't have all the skills it's going to take, even if your job title doesn't necessarily align with exactly that thing, if you're in the place where the need is, and you have that feeling, even if you have some fears and some hesitation, as we talked about earlier, there's reason to have those fears and hesitation. But if you have some kind of inspiration that maybe you should do something about it, then I want to humbly suggest to you that maybe there's something greater at work here. And maybe that's because that's part of your destiny. And if so, you want to walk away from it? Do you want to be afraid of it? Or do you want to say, you know what? I can always find another job if I need to. I will find a way. But I'm in the right place at the right time to make a difference in this company, maybe to make a difference in the world. I'm going to go for it. So I'm going to suggest to you that see that opportunity. I think you should. Again, I don't know all your whole situation, but I want to at least encourage you or be inspired to think about that. And I'll end today with a quote from Shakespeare to remind you that, people of all sorts wind up becoming great leaders. And my hope for you is that whatever situation you're in, it's an opportunity for you to be great. And many of our greatest leaders that we look to from the past, for example, the reason we see them as being so great is because they led through challenging, difficult times. Talk about someone like, we did another live cast for President's Day. We talked about George Washington. We talked about Abraham Lincoln. I did a different live cast where I talked about Martin Luther King. Would we see these people as so great if they had not lived in times which demanded that level of greatness? If Lincoln hadn't been president during the Civil War, we probably wouldn't see him as so extraordinary. The difficulty of the circumstance created the opportunity for him to step up and be great. And as by the way, extra credit, put in the chat if you know what Shakespeare play this quote is from. I will be impressed, but I will be doubly impressed if you know what character said this in that Shakespeare play. So if you're one of the first 10 people to put in the chat both the name of the play and the name of the character, I will send you a free ebook of and you have to do it within the next week. But if I see it within the next week, it might be within the next 5 minutes. I don't know, because I don't know how many people are going to do it quickly. If you're one of the first 10 people who knows the play and the character of this quote, I will send you a coupon for a free ebook of my book, Winning Digital Customers, The Antidote to Irrelevance. And of course, the quote is, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. And you may be, by the way, I don't necessarily believe anyone's born great. I think that's an acronym. Who's born great? I don't believe in that. But so here I am arguing with William Shakespeare. But you may be one of those people. The main reason for my putting the quote here is you may be one of those people who've had greatness thrust upon you, meaning you've found yourself in a situation you may not have thought you were the one who was going to be this kind of leader, but you may be in that situation. So some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. So, and by the way, if you're on that road you've stepped up, I want to help you. And one of the ways I've tried to help people who are stepping up into these roles, leading digital transformations, is to do my best to put everything I know into a book. Now, to be honest, I have failed. It's not everything I know. Our publisher made us take stuff out, and so it's a lengthy book, and even with that, there's always more to be said, which is why there's also a website for book owners that has all kinds of videos and supplemental materials. I'm trying to provide, and the cost of this is whatever it costs on Amazon. It's $27 or whatever. So for nearly no money, I've tried to provide resources for those that are embarking upon this, because I've done it many, many, many times, and I've seen where a lot of the potholes are, and I want you to be successful. So if you are stepping up, I want to help you. Of course, my company provides consulting services. We do all kinds of other things. So if you need more help, naturally reach out. But I would start with the book, because maybe that gives you all you need. Maybe you just need some frameworks. Maybe you just need some guidance around possible problems that you can overcome. And by the way, you can also get you can get a free copy of the first chapter of the book as a PDF by just going to this URL, wdc.ht/free chapter. So if you're not sure if you're ready to spend, I think it might even be on sale still from Valentine's Day. I'm not sure. But if you aren't sure if you even want to spend for the book, check out the free chapter. And if that sounds interesting to you, grab a copy of the book and reach out to me, or put comments in the whatever place you're watching this video. I know we're sending it out 3 or 4 or 5 different places now, LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, and I forget where else. But put the comments there. If there's anything we can do to support you. If you are one of those people who's mustered your courage to step up and try to lead your company, I want to make sure that I'm part of the karmic force that's there to help you. I believe when people step up, the universe steps in to help them. And if I can be part of that help in any way, shape, or form, I'm happy to do it. So reach out if there's any way we can be of support to you. Check out the book. And hey, congratulations. Congratulations for being in a position to have the opportunity to play a major role in a digital transformation. And I hope I've persuaded you that it's worth the risk. And if so, you really have my deep respect and appreciation, because I believe that digital is a force for great good in the world. Even though, yes, there are downsides to it and problems, but I believe that the world of digital is moving our civilization forward in fantastic ways. And I thank you for your part in it. So thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day. And I look forward to seeing you next time.